Clear your throat, then turn on the mic. Dummy. I should know this by now. I should be better at it. Shouldn't I? Shouldn't I be better? 219 episodes into Writer Radio, controlling all the buttons, pushing all the things, doing all the stuff. Shouldn't I know better and be able to clear my throat, then turn on the thing, then start talking? And it's not just 219 episodes of this. It's like 30 years of broadcasting. I'm still a dummy. Hello, how are you? I'm Brad. It's Writer Radio. It's brought to you by Brian Janik at thefinancialguys.com. I went to the financialguys.building yesterday, and that place is massive and super impressive. Ton of great people there. Ton of people I knew already were there. But remember I said I had to run out of here I had to talk to some people about some stuff. I had to talk to some people over there about some stuff. And super impressed with the place. My favorite part about it is I had the opportunity to take the 9 basketballs I ordered for our league and drop them in Brian Janik's office so that they don't have to sit in either my basement or my truck anymore. So he got stuck with them. There was a abject look of disappointment on his face when I presented them to him. But yeah, 9 basketballs are your problem, not mine, Mr. Janik. But thank you for sponsoring the show 10 to noon every day. It's Writer Radio, taking you up until actually there's another I got to run type of situation. Not as early or not as I'm clean today. Yesterday it was I got to finish the show and then take a shower and then go talk to people. Today I'm not showering for today. I'm good. I'm clean. I just have to put on real pants. I hang out doing the show in like pajama pants sometimes. Today's one of those days. They got dogs on them. You won't see them. You don't need to know, but I'm not going to leave the house like this. Just fuzzy flannel pants looking like a jackass. I'm stealing this from Adam Carolla, but it has stuck with me. He said it maybe only once. Maybe it's a recurring thing. I've listened to many hours of Carolla. But he's talking about slippers with the grippy bottoms, which I own, that are like, they're kind of like slippers, but they're kind of like shoes. So like, it's not that bad to walk outside in them. And what he said is you got to be careful because first you're just wearing them in the house. Then you're walking out to get the mail. Then you're walking to the end of the driveway to get the newspaper. And then you're at the grocery store. Next thing you know, you're at the Oscars and you're wearing the slipper thing. It's kind of how it is with pajama pants. We've gotten pretty lax and lenient with dress standards. You know, think about airplanes, what it used to look like on an airplane compared to what it looks like now. But even more so, think about, I don't even want to say like full-on grocery shopping because I feel like there's a little bit more respect, except at like 10:30 at night. That kind of goes out the door. But any time of day, you go into a gas station, a convenience store, a 7-Eleven or whatever they've become. I guess most have become 7-Eleven, Speedway, whatever those things. I mean, you walk in there, you can see anything. You can see nightgowns and pajama pants, certainly slippers, a lot of Crocs, a lot of slides, a lot of that stuff. I just don't want to be that person. I'm too old to be that person. The running joke when I was a kid was about like dads mowing the lawn in black socks pulled up to their knees. Now black socks are the norm. You see that now, kids. I mean, socks with what we used to call flip-flops, but they're not, I guess, because they don't have the thing between the toe, but like slides, they call them. Toeless, like sandals. Sandals with socks was a massive joke when I was a kid. Now it's just the norm. But it doesn't mean I have to partake. And it means I will not wear pajama pants outside of my home, aside from maybe to the mailbox, which is stuck to the front of the house. So it's like I'm not even walking down there. I guess if I had to go to my car and I had pajama pants on, I'm okay. I guess in my backyard, I'm okay. But I'm not going to the store. I'm not going anywhere. Not getting in the vehicle in pajama pants. But as you all know, as members of the human race, it doesn't take a long time to put on pants. So I can do the show up until almost noon. I got to be somewhere at 12:15. If I leave here by like 5:02, I'm good. And really all I got to do between here, now and then, end of show and get in car is change into real pants, brush teeth, probably don't wear a hat. That's it. That's all I got to do. So it'll be easy. A lot of stuff to get to today. This is the 4th day in a row that I don't have my show sheet that structures it. I've liked the way it's been. this week, and I might kind of stick with it. The show sheets are helpful because I print them out like 20 at a time, so I can write in Scott Wilson, Monday, 11 o'clock, Friday, 11 o'clock, next, Monday, 11, Friday, 11. Bob Gone, whenever he lets me know. All right, he's on Wednesday at 11. If John Fuller's coming on, if Paul Peck's coming on, if any of our regular guests, I can schedule them and have that written down in advance, and I like knowing that. But as far as the show itself is concerned, this is what the show looks like today. Here's 2 hours of writer radio. This is a two-sided. It's all handwritten. Here you go. That's today's show. Lest you think I don't prepare, I do prepare. I'm all over the place all the time anyway, and it shows in the direction, the crazy directions the show will go. But there's thought that goes into all of this, I assure you. I like the structure of the sheet, but with the printer not working, haven't gotten around to it. I only remember it when it's time to get ready for the show. And I think I need a printer. It's not like I'm out of ink or I'm out of paper. It's just not making the right sounds. So I've abandoned the printer thing. At some point, maybe I'll do a new version of the show sheet and print it somewhere else. But I don't feel like I need to buy a printer. It's almost unnecessary. It's nice to have. It's convenient. And I loved having a reliable printer for the last, 10 years probably. But this thing it's just not spinning the way it's supposed to spin. And maybe it needs a cleaning. I don't know. Has anyone ever had success with the troubleshooting thing that the computer gives you? Something's not working. It's like, you want to run the troubleshooter? I'm like, yeah, run the troubleshooter. Tell me what's wrong. And it's like, I don't know. Every time. I've never once had success from the maybe it'll be like, you're out of paper. And then I'll look at it and go, no, I'm not. And then it's like, I don't know what to tell you. So as a troubleshooter, we're using AI for everything. Can we get better at troubleshooting on computers? It's wrong every time. It's either nothing or it's incorrect. So for that reason, we're going to be all over the place more than usual. But the same as all of this week. This week has just been kind of lunacy from start to finish. We've had the guests. We had Scott on Monday. We had Bob on, I don't know if he was Tuesday or Wednesday. And then we had Jeremy White called in yesterday out of nowhere, just popped in to give me a little news about one of our favorite podcasts returning, which is exciting. And Scott will be on tomorrow. But other than that, it's just me hanging out with you with this stuff. And video of the Epstein Island. If you're watching on YouTube, you may have noticed I'm just looping this video. The creepiest part that showed up in this newly released video thing is a photo that's not in this video, but this video fit very nicely on my screen in the background. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can tell I'm doing some things. I'm messing around with it, getting a little more high tech, getting a little more, just adding the ability to show you more things. Like during the intro to the show, I say the show starts at 10, but I like to let the audience build up a little bit. So I'm not going to turn on the microphone and start talking at 10 o'clock unless there's a gun to my head, and there's not. So I'll typically turn on music anywhere from 15 minutes before the show to 5 minutes before the show. Just get it cranking, just so that when you log in or log on or tune in or whatever the hell we call it, you recognize that, it's coming, it's here. And I like to get a little flow going, and then I'll jump in and start talking a little bit after 10. Today, I did a new thing, thanks to Spotify, which is one of the main places I'd like you to find the show and subscribe to the show. Because the video is there now, too. Not live. You can't get it live on Spotify, but you get it. I haven't looked into that. I wonder if you can just do a live stream on Spotify. Maybe I should just start doing that and then letting that shoot over to YouTube. I don't know. Again, one-man band. A lot of stuff to think about from a technical standpoint while also trying to put together the content of the show, even if I don't have my show sheet and I have to do it all in my little scribbling. But today or yesterday, I guess it was, Spotify rolled out this thing that it does every year, Spotify Wrapped, where it kind of gives you a summary of what you did within that app over the course of the year. And it's very popular to share it on social media, like, oh, look at this. This is what I listened to, and this is what I, paid attention to. And these are the genres I like. They had a new thing this year where they estimate your age based on the music that you listen to. They tell you how many hours you spent and what you listen to the most. What album did you listen to the most? What artist? What song? What genre? They even had highlights. It's scary, really. It's simultaneously the best and worst. It's a reminder of what the best and worst of life in 2025 is. And that is that everything you do is being tracked, and they know more about you. Everyone knows more about you than you. I always feel like, who cares? Take my information. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to exist. And it doesn't matter if you know that I listened to, way more Kenny Rogers than the average human being over the course of the year. It doesn't matter. That's a bad example because he only popped up a little bit. But it is incredible. Like, I want to start with the cool part of it, and then we'll get into the scary part of it. And I'm going to keep looping this Epstein video because it's creepy as hell. Oh, yeah, forgot to say. The picture from this, that I've got it saved on the computer somewhere, but I like the moving video. The dentist chair. Are you familiar with this? So a bunch of new files have been released. I still don't totally understand what released means. Like, released to me should be, here's the Epstein page you go to, and you can click through whatever you want. I'm still getting photos with things redacted from them. There's a chalkboard photo with a bunch of words that seem really scary, creepy, gross, making you think that all your worst fears about what was actually happening in this place are true. Reminded me almost entirely of, now again, this is going to be a reference that not everyone gets because not enough people yet have seen what is certain to be a massive Oscar winner with one battle after another. But there's a thing in there called the Christmas Adventurers Club, and it's basically Epstein Island. It's these rich, elite, we're making plans in a secret room, we've got a code, nobody else knows what's going on. It's that type of stuff. That is a part of the movie. The movie's so good. There's so many things in this. You have to see it. You have to see it. To the point where if I had the ability, I would organize a screening at a theater and force you to watch it. Do I have the ability? Maybe I do. I should think about that. Make people go watch this movie. Huh. Yeah, well, again, one-man band. I'll never get to it. It's another idea I'll never get to. But I would love to do that. Like a movie club where we all watch it and then we can discuss it. But I want everyone to see this thing so that the references that I make to it make sense to you. Okay, so that thing happened with this video being released. Back to Spotify. Spotify puts out their Wrapped list, Spotify Wrapped, which tells me everything about me as a consumer of media through Spotify. If you had to ask me, I would say I don't use Spotify a ton. There are moments when it makes perfect sense. For example, driving in the car, don't feel like picking music. I've assembled a playlist of music that I play on the show, which is all my favorite stuff anyway, but it's hundreds of songs. And going for, we went to, I was going to say Hershey, but I feel like that was last year. Cedar Point. We drove to Cedar Point this year for a baseball tournament. And generally speaking, the soundtrack was my Writer Radio playlist. It was perfect. Nobody got mad. It's all stuff that either I love or I like a lot and just fit into an appropriate day on the show. Anyway, doing this show, I've got a whole separate app, we'll call it. It's called a soundboard app where I've got a bunch of songs loaded in. So I go in there and I pick, like when I take a break, I pick the songs. If I need to take a break and like go do something, like go upstairs, bathroom, let's say I need 10 minutes. I got to find a 10-minute song because if I'm not back here, the song will stop. Then we'll have silence. I think we're going to do away with that because I've assembled this list of songs that I like. And on occasion, I'm going to play something new and particular. But generally speaking, I've got hundreds of songs that I've already validated as worthy of airplay on Writer Radio. And now there's this Spotify list that not only do I have that one, but I have this other one that told me my top songs of the year, like the ones I've played the most. So I can use either of those, put it on shuffle, walk away, and it's a real break. Instead of having to, that song's 3:33 long, so I'm going to go fill up the water bottle. But I have to go upstairs to get ice. And I get back, okay, quick, switch to another one. All right, I got 4 minutes now. I can get rid of that by just using already approved by me Spotify music. And I discovered that I can put the artist, like the album cover, on the screen. So it'll tell you who's playing. So during the intro today, you've got a new little treat, a new little twist to the fun that is Writer Radio, in that the 3 songs that played beforehand, you saw like a little Spotify box that showed what song was playing. Because I get that a lot. I'll get text messages or just people asking me, hey, do you know what song you played at like 10:35? And the answer is always no. I can go back and find out, but I don't remember. I don't remember any of the things that happened. It's a good thing these shows are recorded. Otherwise, they just disappear into the void. And as I've discussed before, me talking for 10 hours a week at the speed at which I do, I must use more words, even if I repeat a bunch of them. But straight up word count on this show has to be among tops in the nation. Like Spotify, can you just let me know that too? Since you're listening to everything and watching everything. All right, I want to do the fun part of what's yesterday's sheet? What did I miss from that? Did that, did not do that, did that, did not do that, didn't mention that Scott Weiland died 10 years ago yesterday. I meant to do a whole Stone Temple Pilots thing, and I never got around to it, and I apologize. So rest in peace, Scott Weiland. That stinks. That's really, that sheet can go away. We don't need this one. Spotify, it does this rap thing. And I could show you the whole thing, but instead I wrote down a bunch of notes on it. Because if I show it to you, I'm afraid the music is going to play. And I don't want the music to play because then I have to get rid of that portion. Even though that's weird. Like I'm doing this on Spotify with a Spotify product. And then Spotify would be like, we can't do that. You played music. Yeah, I know. You gave it to me. You know what I do. You know everything about me. Don't give me the music and then tell me not to play the music on your platform. That seems unreasonable. Or maybe it's totally legal to do, but I don't feel like finding out. So instead of, I forgot to loop the video from Epstein Island here. Little St. James Island. I think Little St. James Island sounds creepier than Epstein Island. Doesn't it? Because it's got a little in it and a boy's name. Like Little Boy's Island, Little St. James. It's worse. Epstein Island is the nickname that's meant to imply pedophilia. St. James Island implies pedophilia way more. Little St. James is fine. Little St. James. What are we doing? God, I'm all over the place. The dentist, there's a picture that makes it seem... All right, I'm going to stop the video. It's distracting me. I keep watching it and restarting it. What do I do for that? This. All right, we're just going to go basic here and stop watching the Epstein video. All right. The video shows a bunch of rooms that are, I guess, creepy because you can picture what would happen in them if it's full of billionaires and pedophiles and children, and it's gross. All this gross. But mostly it's an abandoned, like, you ever see videos of like an abandoned amusement park? And that's creepy too. Because there's just like stuff overgrown. Like that's where the carousel is. Except the horse has like grass wrapped around its face. And it's just like, ugh. It's like, ugh. There's like, what's the word? Like a Blair Witch vibe to all of it. Because it was previously utilized for fun. And you can hear the creepy carnival music playing in your brain, and it's just bleh. All of these Epstein Island videos and photos have that vibe to start with. Like, I also started thinking about using this as a real estate agent to pitch this incredible island, because it's available, right? I mean, it's a band. He's dead. She's in prison for now. I mean, it looks like you'd have to clean it up. You'd want to sanitize. But somebody wants to buy that. I mean, it's a bad look. Hey, great news. I got a new vacation home. Where is it? Virgin Islands. All right, that's cool. It's actually my own island. Wait, it's not that island, is it? Well, it's... Yeah, but we don't use it for that anymore. It's a tough sell. Like trying to sell a house where there was a murder-suicide. Tough sell. The house where Sharon Tate was murdered. You gotta find a Trent Reznor to want to occupy the place to record an album. Like you need a creep to buy the creep place. I think I like Trent Reznor. I think he, I think the creep is a facade. I think he's just a music nerd. But it adds to the lore when you record, or at least you're rumored to have recorded in the home where Sharon Tate was murdered by the Manson family. Buying Epstein Island would be a triumph and the creepiest thing that anyone could ever do. But you could turn it into something nice. Turn it into an actual amusement park. Turn it into an actual, like a family resort. So again, most of the pictures and videos that you would see that have recently been released, and I haven't seen all of them, I don't think. I've just watched several news stories. Again, wish I could just click. All right, show me all the stuff. Overall, there's a creepy vibe. Second creepiest thing that exists is a picture of a chalkboard where it says like money, power, politics, music, and then there's like names that are redacted. So like, who's in there? Sorry, it's just I'm going out of order. The third creepiest thing is a old school phone, multiple lines, and it's got like my office, this office, or New York office, this person's cell, this person, and like 3 or 4 names on there are redacted. I feel bad for the names that are not redacted. There's nothing that, it's like Justin. Like, well, we don't know who Justin is. I don't know who Justin is. Somebody knows who Justin is. But that's on there. And that's creepiest thing number 3. Creepiest thing number 2 is the chalkboard with things scrawled on it. I should find the pictures. It's gonna screw me up. It's gonna take too much time. Let me see if I know exactly where I saved them. I remember it was this PC. Might just be pictures this PC. Come on. Do I have Epstein 1 and 2? No. Oh, I've got Raccoon 1 and 2. Maybe I didn't save those pictures. A raccoon broke into a liquor store. There are 2 really good pictures from it. I ruined the joke, so I'm gonna save it for a while because the story is there's a burglar in a liquor store and it took everything on the bottom shelf and then it passed out in the bathroom. And it's the floor of a liquor store with liquor bottles all over it, and then a raccoon that apparently got hammered and fell asleep next to a toilet. But I digress. Creepiest thing number 3, the phone with names and redacted things. Creepiest thing number 2, the chalkboard. Or what? It was a whiteboard. It's not a chalkboard. Like a whiteboard with a bunch of stuff, like a game plan. We're making a game plan for how to run things. That's the story I'm making up in my head, but it sure looks like that. I have to see if I can find it, because telling you this story is going to do no justice if you have not seen this yet. So now I'm gonna just bear with me. I'm gonna do this. Epstein photo whiteboard. Will that just show up? Will that work? Do you know what I want? You know what I mean, Google. You know what I mean. Images. I just want the photo itself. I do not want the video that contains the photo. All right, I've got a crappy version of it. Bear with me. This is worth it. This is important. All right, chalkboard. Power, deception. Something that ends in the word face. Music. Something maybe of Miami. Time, day. Drank, brain. And part of the photo is missing. Good God. That one's super weird. But the weirdest by far, and the creepiest by far, is the dentist chair. Epstein, dentist, chair. Reddit, I trust you. Images. Maybe that's where I should have been this whole time. There it is. Previously unseen images of the island. Come on, let this be the picture. Show me the picture. Just the picture. Just give it to me. And now I'm back on the BBC video that I already watched, that we already just watched. I'm going to describe it because I can't, well, it's a room, like a small bedroom, or what could be a small dental office, containing within it a dentist chair with all the apparatus that goes along with it. Pretty normal so far, right? Aside from why do we need, well, it's an island. Maybe you need that. Maybe there's a dentist on staff. Like in the best version of this, there's a dentist on staff. In the worst version of this, which is the one that we live in right now, it's not just a weird white. Oh, okay, hold on. This is going to be tough to do live on the fly. This is almost like play a song while I'm stalling. I'm going to describe the dentist chair, and then eventually I'll find the picture of the dentist chair, and then I'll probably be stuck on talking about that room even longer. It's a dentist chair in a room, a white, very sterile type of room that looks just like any other dentist's office, aside from one minor difference. That minor difference being the rubber masks hanging on the wall. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them pictured in the video, or pictured in this photo. I count 10 rubber masks and like creepy. It's like Eyes Wide Shut combined with A Clockwork Orange, combined with we know at least have a pretty good idea of what's going on, or what was going on the island. So you add all that stuff together, and this is one of the most disturbing images you'll ever see. And like, there's a part of me that really wants to know how that room was used, and then there's a part of me that knows once I know how that room was used, I'll never be able to unknow it, and that will make me a worse person in life. So there's that. I could spend every day dwelling on this entire Epstein story. I don't, because I don't want to say I don't find it interesting. I just don't want to bring myself into that world. I don't want to have to think about it. But once we hit this, like, this is what's on my mind today, is I saw the creepiest things, some of the creepiest things I've ever seen. And I've got them on the screen. You can kind of see them. This is a separate video. This is a different one. I had a BBC video. This is now this is a USA Today video. Most of the same stuff. But this one also contains the dentist chair. Okay, there's a weird shower thing here. Can I pause this? Can you not show me an ad for LifeLock by Norton? I'm just trying to make a point. What am I missing here? Why can't I pause? Why can't I do anything? Pause the video. Skip the ad. Now LifeLock's coming after me. Okay. The dentist chair is crazy. And like I said, Clockwork Orange, Saw comes to mind. I don't have a lot to say. Just good God. Like, I do want to know what release the files means and why release them. Like, we're not all going to get an email from the government saying, here's what we've got. But also, releasing the files, if we're crossing names off of whiteboards, and we're crossing names off of a telephone, like if you earned your way into one of those speed dial slots on the telephone at Epstein Island, that's what we're looking for when you release the files. That's what those names are what we're looking for. Now, there's a part of me that understands you don't put the names on there because the worst person in the world might be some guy we've never heard of who happens to be named Donald, and it's not Trump. And then if you show it and it says Donald and it's not Trump, we're implicating the president of the United States in the state. So, like, I get why you have to remain somewhat cautious with this type of information. But I think we would all agree that the part where we're saying release the files refers to including the names of the people involved in whatever we're talking about here. It's like, yeah, well, we're going to release everything except for the names. And they're like, well, and again, I don't need the names. I need somebody to have the names so that we can move forward as a nation with this whole thing. Figure out which people we're, and maybe just send them back to the island. Maybe that's the move. Just let them go back there. All right, let's see if I've got another video playing, but I don't know if this one's going to have the dentist room in it. I want a decent, come on. Just a decent-sized picture of the dentist thing. This doesn't seem to be the right video at all. Department of Justice building, that's not going to work. All right, we're just switching back. There's so much technology, and it's so difficult to use it all at the same time. It's already 10:49. I don't even feel like I started yet. I wanted to talk about Spotify, but I got caught up in Little St. James Island. We agree that's worse, right? Where you heading? Little St. James. Ugh. I have a dentist appointment with Little St. James. And 10 rubber masks. It's eyes wide shut. All the worst things. Clockwork Orange, Eyes Wide Shut, Saw. It's another one that I'm forgetting. So Spotify told me what I listened to, and I'm going to tell you about it right now. I'm going to take a drink of water, wash the taste of Little St. James Island out of my mouth. Got a little lemon in the water today. It's nice. It's zesty. So I don't think I use Spotify that much, but it told me that I listened for approximately 3 entire days, which I guess isn't that bad. I listen to a lot of music, listen to a lot of podcasts, and sometimes it's through Spotify. Not all the time, not super often, but for 5,578 minutes, I apparently listened to Spotify over the course of 2025. It listed my top 5 genres. And I'm not surprised that all 5 of these are here. I am surprised at the order. Counting backward from 5 to 1, it told me I listened to college rock. Good for me. At 4, new wave. That is very explainable. I listen to Talking Heads a lot, which I think would fall into that category. I listen to Joe Jackson a lot, which I think would fall into that category. And I've recently discovered the Cars as a super interesting band. So that being number 4 is reasonable. At 3 is alt country. I get that. That's like Americana. I think any Steve Earle comes to mind, but Jason Isbell probably fits in there. Wilco probably fits in there. Any number of other associated drive-by truckers, like that kind of stuff that I listen to pretty regularly. I can see that being my number 3. Number 2 is alt rock. That's just, I mean, I don't know what the alt part is anymore. Alt used to be, Alice in Chains, not Bachman Turner Overdrive. But it's all just kind of run together. If it's got a guitar in it now, it's quaint. So there's like guitar stuff. I used to hate Thin Lizzy. Now I listen to Thin Lizzy twice a week. So I've moved on. But the alt part, I don't totally get. I get alt country. Alt country means country minus the, I got a truck and a beer and a dog and a that. It's different. You know it when you see it. I'm not positive what alt rock means anymore, or how I would differentiate that from college rock. Like, what's The Cure? I don't listen to The Cure a lot, but is it college rock? Anyway, number 1 on my thing, hardcore hip hop. I don't know what they mean by that. I'm not saying I don't listen to hip hop. And, maybe NWA counts. And I guess maybe Ghetto Boys would count. And maybe Public Enemy would count. But it's like Kendrick Lamar hardcore hip hop? Am I being like that goes on my chart? That goes on my permanent record as hardcore hip hop? I don't know. I don't know. They then go on to list. They said I listened to 591 songs over the course of the year. 591 songs, and I am proud of. I'm proud of 4 of them. And then number 1 is just like, really? This is what you think of me, Spotify? All right, we're going to count down the top 5. And again, I would love to just play them, but then I have to delete the music from it, and it's going to ruin it, so we're just going to talk. We'll talk through it. At number 5, proud of this one, because it is sung by someone who has been on the show at least once, maybe twice. Our good friend, Ron Hawkins, from the Lowest of the Low, would be happy to know that number 5 on the list of songs I listened to this year is Eternal Fatalist. Proud of that one. Dun, 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 dun. I would, if you ask me to name my favorite Low song, that's the first one that comes to mind. It doesn't mean that it's always my answer, but it's the first one I think of. So I'm good with that being there. At number 4, one of my favorite bands. This is not one of my favorite songs from them, but there's an explanation for this. It's the first track on my favorite album by them. So anytime I would throw on the band Murrah and their album Kids in Philly, the first song that would play is Far Away You. I like it a lot, but it's, 16th on my list of my favorite songs by them. But I get how that would happen, because if I decide I want to listen to them, very often I'll just put on that album, and it starts from the top, and that's the first song. And if I don't make it all the way through, obviously the first track would be the most heard, the second track would be the second most heard, all the way through. Even if I like stuff, like the Cat Fisherman later in the album, better. Or I like the history where someone has been killed, better. I usually, if I'm listening to that album, I start from the top. So there's that. Number 3, this is I'm not going to call them a one-hit wonder, but they were kind of a 2-hit wonder from the mid-90s. My man John Fuller, shout out to John. He will appreciate this one. If John and I have a song together, this is our song. Bandidos by The Refreshments is number 3, the songs that I listen to. Number 2, not surprising that it's a Joe Jackson song. Little surprised that it's Happy Loving Couples, although that does have one of my favorite lyrics of all time in it. So I get it. That's fine. So listen to how cool I am, according to Spotify. They think I'm cool because I listen to the Lowest of the Low, Murrah, Refreshments, Joe Jackson, and coming in at number 1 is Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You by Milli Vanilli. I made that the song of the day once on the show, which explains its inclusion on the list. I feel like every time I play the list randomly, the Writer Radio Spotify playlist, I feel like every time that song comes on, and they've been tracking it. So they picked it for me and played it a bunch. And then they just rub it in my face in December. Like, hey, dude, think you're cool, huh? Did you know that your favorite song is Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You by Milli Vanilli? I can't deny that I like the song, Spotify. I can't. But I think you're judging me incorrectly based on there's a false premise here. It's bad data. You fed me the song. I didn't choose it. I chose it once. Then I put it on a list. Then you're like, you love Milli Vanilli, don't you? Here, eat it again. Eat it again. Take that. And then put it in my face and tell me it's my favorite song. I don't know about you, Spotify. I just don't know. My 3 top albums, and this one's weird. I must just not listen to full albums on Spotify, because at number 3 is GNX by Kendrick Lamar. I didn't know Kendrick Lamar had an album called GNX. So that being my number 3 album of the year seems a little off. But it is possible that the way the stats work is you have to listen to an entire album. So maybe I said one day, I'm going to try a whole Kendrick Lamar album, and left it on and forgot about it. Maybe I wasn't even listening. Maybe it was not against it. I don't remember ever listening to that entire album. I've never heard of it until they told me I loved it. Number 2 is Foxes in the Snow. That one I get. It's a new release from Jason Isbell. It's the first of his albums that I haven't purchased on vinyl since Southeastern, which came out in 2012, maybe. And he's put out 4 albums since then or something. I have all of them on vinyl. I didn't buy the new one, so I did when it came out. Listened to it, streamed it probably 2 or 3 times on Spotify. So I get that being number 2. And at number 1, we're back to our good friend Ron Hawkins. And again, I don't own this on vinyl, so when I want to hear it, I will go to Spotify. And that is Shakespeare My Butt, which is an absolute classic. If you don't own it, you're crazy. If you didn't grow up around the Canadian music scene, you might not be familiar. I promise you, it's the kind of music that no one could possibly dislike. Just absolutely perfect, sometimes straightforward, sometimes joking, tongue-in-cheek type of stuff. Amazing voice, incredible songwriting, perfect musicianship, cool people. Ron in particular. I don't know the rest of the guys, but I have friends who know the rest of the guys, and it's just, these are cool guys. And that's my number 1 album. I'm happy with that. Shakespeare My Butt, number 1. Foxes in the Snow, I get. GNX by Kendrick Lamar. I don't understand. They also said I spent 1,432 minutes listening to podcasts. All right. Now, this is skewed a little bit because typically when I listen to podcasts, I don't use Spotify for it. I've got an app on my phone, and the things that I like, I download into that. And so they pop into there. So none of this would show up on there. They've got me, for number 3, they've got me listening to The Big Picture, which is a Ringer production. I did listen to like 4 hours of The Big Picture within the last week. After watching One Battle After Another, I watched it one night for 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 39 minutes, I think it is. I watched it last Tuesday. Then I watched it again last Wednesday. And then on Thursday, I consumed 2 full, 2-hour podcasts about it, both of which were on The Big Picture. So I guess this shows how little, and I dabble in that show every now and then. But it's certainly not on my list of the, I wouldn't have guessed it was in my top 5 of things that I listen to regularly. At number 2 is something called IndieCast. And I reckon Stephen Hayden and Ian Cohen are the hosts. I'm pretty sure Stephen Hayden is a music writer. I probably have a book by him on this shelf right next to me. At the very least, I bet he blurbed the 60 Songs That Explain the 90s book. Let's see right here. Do I see his name? Nope, wrong. Is that where they put all the blurbs? No, I don't have it. All right, anyway. I'm guessing what happened there is that at some point I put on an episode of it and fell asleep or something. Like I wanted to hear one thing. Maybe there was a guest on there that I liked or something. And then it just kept streaming. And so that counted as my number 2 podcast that I listened to in 2025. So that one's kind of weird to me. Coming in at number 1. On my list, and I hope on yours, Writer Radio. I apparently listen to myself a lot. I'm in the top 13% of fans of my own show. Now, again, I don't spend a ton of time on Spotify listening to podcasts, but I do feel the need to check to make sure they're working correctly. And apparently I do that a lot because I listen to myself more than I listen to anyone else, and that sounds terrible. So, topping my list, Writer Radio and Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You by Milli Vanilli. Cool. Top artist. It gave me my top 5 artists. I like this list. At 5, Public Enemy. Guilty. At 4, Talking Heads. Guilty. At 3, Jason Isbell. Guilty. At 2, The Tragically Hip. Guilty. And coming in at number 1, the top 2% of fans of you, Ron Hawkins, and the lowest of the low. Also, while scrolling through you do scroll through it, but they give you this Spotify rap thing. If you don't have Spotify, this makes no sense to you, but it's really cool. They send you this little video, and you click it, and it's like interactive, and you slide through it, and it congratulates you on stuff. The people from The Big Picture thanked me. Sean Fennessy and Mallory Rubin like popped on the screen like, hey, thanks for being a big fan. And then they mentioned One Battle After Another at the end, which is great. It wasn't made just for me, but it showed up on the list. While you're scrolling through the thing, it plays a bunch of songs, all of which come from the Writer Radio playlist. So my thing sounded like this. It played Just Like Heaven by The Cure. It played Life During Wartime by Talking Heads. It played Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos by Public Enemy. It played Just Like Paradise by David Lee Roth. That was a song of the day once. It might have been the first song of the day when I started doing this in maybe episode 1? Maybe it was episode like 7 when I started doing it, but very early. That was in there. Then it played Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You because it knows that I love Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You, and it thinks Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You is my favorite song. It's a good song. Happy Loving Couples, which is Joe Jackson. Mentioned it already. Bleed a Little While Tonight, which is Lowest of the Low. Home to Houston by Steve Earle. Eternal Fatalist by Lowest of the Low. And Scared by The Hip. Pretty good little list there. And that's what led me to realize, hey, I don't need to pick all my songs every time I take a break on the show. I can use that thing. So we left off at Cuts Like a Knife. But right now, when I take a break, because I've been talking for an hour straight, we're going to put on that thing. You're going to hear the tail end of Cuts Like a Knife, I think. Or, no, wait, I can skip ahead. When I skip ahead, does it take me to a commercial, though, is my concern.
The microphone feed.
It takes us to Eric B. and Rakim, which is fine by me. I'll be right back. It's Writer Radio. We're back with our island-themed broadcast. There's the dentist chair. There's the masks. There's the creepiest thing you've ever seen. I want to blow that up and make it full screen. It's Writer Radio, episode 219. It's Thursday. Good football weekend, starting with tonight's game. Cowboys at Lions. Cowboys 6-4-1. Lions 7-5. I didn't notice the drop-off with the Lions. I noticed the Cowboys surging. Been a lot more talk about them lately. And I guess now that I think about it, there's been a lot of Dan Campbell bashing, but I just kind of missed that Cowboys can move ahead of the Lions in the NFC tonight. That's interesting. They still got a fight on their hands for the division. But the Lions could, I don't know, we'll see. Things aren't so bad in Buffalo is kind of part of the point here. 4 losses. Just hang out with 4 losses. You're cruising, man. You're cruising. Fewer losses than the Lions. Same number of losses as the Cowboys, which is a little disconcerting, but not as disconcerting as this thing on the screen right here. Let me see how I do this. That is... Okay, I can make it so that this moves to the front. Oh, not that. I want you to be able to see this thing full screen because it's gross. All right, so if I do that, then I... Properties, order, move to top. Good. Now I take this and make it bigger. Then I'm still on top. And there can just be a picture of my face with this dentist thing going on, which is kind of not ideal either, but it's okay. Bigger. It's just the way it works, man. Doing it live. Doing it live by myself. This is where multiple producers would help. Or just one person doing anything else would help. But it's me. Come on, you should be moving. You're not moving. It's not where I want you. There we go. Here, I'll put myself up on the wall. I'll be a face on the wall, too. This is gross. All right, so there. Now we've got the photo of the dentist room that came out of the released Epstein files yesterday. Obviously, you can't see very well what the other ones look like. But the one on the top left here, not top right. Top right is me. This is me. This is my real face. I've never been to the Virgin Islands, let alone Little St. James Island, a.k.a. the Epstein Island. I've never been there, but now it looks like my face is on the wall in the dentist thing. Less than great. But if you look at the guy in the top left, cursor probably doesn't show up on the screen, but the top left here, gives you an idea of what the other 9 on the wall would look like. I think I see 2 more sitting on that countertop next to the sink to the side of the chair. And this is the creepiest, craziest thing you've ever seen. And that's what all the talk about Epstein, like that's what we're talking about. Well, there's no justification, like anything else, any of the other things that they show. It's like, yeah, there's a pool. Now, I can imagine the gross things that were happening in and around the pool, but it's a pool. I get it. There's a shower, and there sure are a lot of towels. Sure does seem like group activities would take place in this room. Yeah. Or maybe it's just a really big shower. And there's towel. Like, there's plausible deniability on everything except this one. Make up another story. Make up a story that isn't the most disgusting thing you've ever heard, involving a dentist chair and 10 to 12 rubber adult-sized masks. And look at the one on the left, just to start the creep factor. That's the creepiest thing I've ever seen by itself. Now add in the context. Now put it in this room. Now add a dentist chair? What's going on with a dentist chair? All right. The other thing I wanted to do, should I leave that up? Probably not, right? Is it distracting? Is it a little distracting to have that on the screen? Just go to the basic camera. Go to that. Okay. I talked so much about the picture, I wanted to make sure anybody who hadn't seen the picture could see the picture. I was talking about Spotify, this Spotify Wrap thing, where it tells you all about your listening habits over the course of a year. And I've dwelled on it for way too long, but I find it incredible in a good way, like fascinating, great. On the downside is, my God, they know everything about you, and that's just from listening to the music. Like these devices we're carrying around in our pockets. This cannot be good for us. This cannot be good for society. There's no way it's good. I'm going to go through my thing here because, all right, some of it's pretty normal. Like it tells me, I'm doing it on my phone. The thing doesn't show up on the screen, so I can't show it to you. Oh, the audio is playing. Oh, yeah, that's right. The phone is still connected to Spotify. Mute. Where is that music coming from? Web player. Where's web player? This green thing? Yes. All right. I want you to be quiet. Web player. Screwing up my groove, man. Stop it. Turn the volume down. It does nothing. Is the music coming from the phone or it's coming from the phone? But it's also playing on the... Better. Okay. So we look at my rap thing, and some of it is totally cool and fun. No, stop playing the thing. Revisit your rap. Yep. I just want to see from the start. It told me about specific days of my life and what I did with those days. And while it's interesting, it's just a reminder that your life is being tracked. And this, I'm not like tinfoil hat guy, but this is real. Like the stuff that Spotify knows about me from the limited time I've spent. They claim I've spent 3 days on it. That seems, I guess that's not that bad, right? Out of 365, it's pretty good. It's got a thing called listening age, which I think is fun because it told me, based on the things I listen to, that my listening age is 53. I'm 51. That sounds fine. I'm 51 and a little advanced. I mean, like AP music. Because I like some stuff that... I got really into music in the early 80s, so it thinks that I'm older than I was. I was 8 and in the Columbia House Record Club. Top song quiz. No, we already did this one. Where is the thing about the specific dates? This is the freaky part. Top podcast, top artist, listening club, maybe that. I don't know. This tells me that I'm an archivist. They have different types of listeners, and they consider me to be an archivist. I'm in great company, 9% of all global listeners are in my club. Archivists. It means I listen to old crap. Not the thing I'm looking for. This is it. Okay, we pulled some of your files just in case. Swipe up for more. Okay. Here's what it's going to tell me about me. It tells me that February 9th was my biggest hardcore hip-hop day. And then it's got a whole story about what I did that day. The day you ran a golden era cipher from dusk till dawn. It says from midnight through sunrise. So that probably means fell asleep with Spotify on. From midnight through sunrise. So I assure you, I did not have a hip-hop party by myself on February 9th. I always wait till March to have solo hip-hop overnight parties. So it says, from midnight through sunrise, you spun a relentless set of old-school hip-hop. NWA, Ice Cube, Digital Underground, Public Enemy, and more. Looping classics like Mind Playing Tricks on Me and the Humpty Dance. 378 minutes, 84 tracks, 50 artists. Your most hardcore hip-hop day, outpacing even your annual top genre. Filed under Golden Era Marathon Late Night Cypher. Like, clearly, obviously, there's not some dude that works at Spotify, like the Spotify elves working around the clock to put out these rap things. This is obviously an AI thing based on actual statistics that they have on me, which, again, I find endlessly entertaining, and it's a sign of the apocalypse. Like, it shouldn't know that. Listen to these things. Biggest podcast listening day was March 26th. The day you let 6 podcasts fill every hour, it says. You started early with the big picture and carried on through History of the 90s, IndieCast, and Writer Radio. By late evening, the Prestige TV podcast and a double dose of Adam Carolla Show had you clocking 396 minutes, 6 episodes, 6 podcasts. Your most podcast-obsessed day of the year. I'm sure I did that. But again, I think it's not accounting for I'm going to put on a podcast and fall asleep. There are many podcasts that are like that, and it's no knock on them. But where I'm interested enough to like be very quiet and silent and still and listen, and within 2 minutes, my brain shuts off and I go to sleep. I use podcasts like that. Maybe that's what IndieCast was. I don't know. Biggest music listening day, April 20th. The day you let a midnight mixtape run until sunrise. Again, AI's pretty good at things. Maybe I wasn't listening. Does it connect to my Fitbit to know if I was awake or asleep? It will. I need the Spotify watch, the Spotify ring or headband or implant or something, and then it can get me that data. This one says, the day you let a midnight mixtape run until sunrise. You spent the night looping Lowest of the Lows, Shakespeare My Butt, in full. Then let Talking Heads, The Tragically Hip, and Ween carry you through dawn. By morning, the playlist had spun through 107 tracks and 26 artists, your most epic listening stretch all year. 421 minutes, your biggest music day by far. And then it's most energetic day. The day you let the playlist set the pace and never hit the brakes. May 25th, 2025. Through the night and into dawn, again, you let Writer Radio, the playlist, run wild. Guilty as charged. Talking Heads, The Cars, Green Day, and Lowest of the Low, trading riffs and tempo with 18 high-energy tracks and barely a pause. You clock 368 minutes, 94 tracks, 38 artists, your most energetic day of the year. May 25th. Birthday. It knows my birthday. I don't remember telling Spotify my birthday, although that seems like a very simple intro question when you first sign up, but you forget about that. Somebody says, when's your birthday? And you tell them, and they're like, got it. Storing that forever now. There's no coming back from this. The day you let podcasts blow out your birthday candles. Your birthday soundtrack was Pure Talk Radio, a marathon of Writer Radio episodes, from a birthday-themed show to a Halloween detour, then winding down with the big picture and a deep dive on Mulholland Drive. Like, I didn't listen. I was asleep. I've never seen Mulholland Drive. I would not listen to a podcast episode about Mulholland Drive without seeing Mulholland Drive. I didn't do it. But again, I wound down. You mean I went to sleep and it played? Now you're calling me out on it? Just like you're telling me my favorite song is Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You? It's a good song. Not a single song, just 221 minutes, 2 podcasts, 4 episodes. Your birthday, all spoken word. All right? And then that's it. Those are the reports. But those are the things that are scarier to me. just tracking, like you listen to this one this many times, but to actually break down, like, you had this day and this is what you did. And on your birthday, this is what you did. And you like hip-hop on this. It's crazy to me. And also they're accusing me of staying up, having all-night solo hip-hop parties, which I've never done. All right, it's 11:32. I guess it's time to get to the other stuff. Well, the first two things I had written down were Spotify rap, coolest/scariest thing that exists, and Epstein Island photos, videos. We've done those. We haven't done any of the other stuff. I mentioned that the Cowboys are playing the Lions. I saw an article today from Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, that said there are big games in every window this weekend for the NFL. I know what that means. I'm frustrated by that term. It's just been adopted by everyone. I think it stemmed from Red Zone Channel. Like, all right, we're in the early window. We're in the late window, because they're talking to people coast to coast. So, like, what we here call the 1 o'clock games would be the 4 o'clock games in California. So rather than talking to one crowd or the other, they've made it the early window, the late window. But I still live in Buffalo, so I still call it 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Even though 4 o'clock might mean 4:10, and it might mean 4:20, it might be 4:25, and it might mean 4:30. But still, that's a 4 o'clock game. The Bills play this week? Yeah. 4 o'clock? No, 1 o'clock. That's how we talk. The early window seems like how people would have talked about the Bills game in the Hallmark movie. I'm attending the early window game at Highmark Stadium. You know how our family loves going to games at Highmark Stadium. Highmark, Highmark, Highmark. Oh, Highmark. I got to admit, and this is okay because I'm just a fan, I am absolutely looking past the Bengals. You know how I know? Because I keep thinking the Bills are playing the Patriots. I watched the Patriots game with great interest as the Giants were unable to upset them. But I watched that knowing full well their next game was against the Bills, and that's now burned into my head that the Bills play the Patriots next. I know it's not true. I know the Pats have to have a bye at some point. We've been waiting for this the whole time because it's a lot easier to catch up to a team who's not playing. They've had an extra game on the Bills for quite some time now. So I've known about it, and I've known that it's the Bengals game where they get to make it up. But I just keep thinking that they're playing the Patriots next. And they're not. They're playing the Bengals this week in the early window. So that's a big one. But there are a ton of really good games that are really meaningful. And, of course, I don't have them on the screen anymore because I was too busy looking for photos of a dentist chair on an island full of pedophiles to do what I was supposed to do here. Is it there? No. Man, I feel really, really all over the place. It's got to be here. Come on. How about this? Nope, that's about Epstein. Maybe this one. There we go. Every Week 14 window has a high-stakes game, says Mike Florio of ProFootballTalk.com. Sometimes the schedule set in May results in a late season clunker or two. Sometimes they nail it. For Week 14, the schedule couldn't get much better. Each of the 5 windows for the weekend is a game with very high stakes. Begins tonight with the 6-5-1 Cowboys facing the suddenly slumping 7-5 Lions. Both desperately need a win to remain viable in the chase for their respective division titles or for one of the 3 NFC wildcards. The loser won't be eliminated, but it will get dicey for the Lions. 11-6 should be good enough. For the Cowboys, however, a loss would make their best possible record 10-6-1. Anyone with an 11-6 record obviously would jump them without the application of a tiebreaker. Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern time window. See, it's 1 p.m. We know what it means. We know it means 1 o'clock. Has 3 must-watch games. 6-6 Steelers visit the 6-6 Ravens for first place in the North. They also will play in Week 18. They haven't played yet, and they're tied. That's kind of fun. The 8-4 Colts, who haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. Really? Jacksonville, it doesn't seem like they should have a winning streak over anyone. I'm not saying the Colts have been great, but they've been all right. They had Andrew Luck for quite some time there. 8-4 Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. Play the 8-4 Jaguars for first place in the South. When I think about the Bills at 8-4, I think it's fine, and then I hear it's the same record as the Jaguars, and it feels gross. They play for the first time this week. They rematch in week 17. So this one matters, but they'll do it again. The 4-8 Bengals, whose slim chances of jumping the Steelers and Ravens are hanging by a thread, visit 8-4 Buffalo, which could still jump for the playoff table and miss. I guess they could miss the playoffs. Everything looks so much different if you just go win this game. And now you're half a game behind the Patriots and you're playing them. Fine. Well, actually, no, you'd be a full game behind them and you're playing them. You're still going to need help from like a other team standpoint. You want the Ravens to beat them. You want the Jets to beat them. You want the Dolphins. Just one of those. You get one of those, you get your win. You win all your games. You're fine. All right, so that's 1 o'clock, early window, Sunday. Late window, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. 9-3-1 Bears against the 8-3-1 Packers. Actually, that might be the craziest one. Seeing the Bears at the top of that division right now is nuts. Although, I will say I saw them in the preseason, and I thought about all the hype that was on the Bears last year, and it never really came through. And they end up firing their coach. They bring in Ben Johnson. But it was rookie Caleb Williams. It was rookie Rome Odunze. They brought in another like big-time receiver. Like, here they go. DJ Moore, maybe. And it was, here they come. And I was like, I don't know yet. And it didn't happen. But then this year I saw them in the preseason, and they just looked to have things together. I think they played the Bills in the preseason. And I went, oh, maybe everything they were saying about the Bears last year is true this year. And so far, it looks that way. 9-3-1 Bears. 8-3-1 Packers renew the NFL's oldest rivalry at Lambeau, with round 2 set for Saturday night, only 13 days later. So every one of these matchups that we've talked about, they're all divisional matches. But every one of them is game 1 of the 2 that will be played with only 5 weeks left in the season. So that's pretty cool, right? 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah. Wait, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, 5 weeks left, including the week that begins with tonight's game. It's the most significant home-and-home for Chicago and Green Bay since the merger, and the biggest game between them since the 2010 NFC Championship. Yeah, they always talk about it being the oldest rivalry, but maybe if you live there in one of those cities, you feel it. But I've seen Packers-Vikings games that have been super meaningful. I've seen Packers-Lions games that have been super meaningful. I've seen Bears-Lions. I've seen Bears-Packers. This matchup doesn't seem like anything. Bears-Vikings, Bears-Lions is what I meant to say. But I get it. The uniforms look cool. It looks old. Old stadium. I'm in. 9-3-1. 9-3-1 versus 8-3-1 is fun. But the oldest rivalry, it's not the strongest, at least from the outside, rivalry. Maybe they hate each other and it's perfect. Rarely are both teams this good late in the season. Yeah. Well, yeah, since it's the first time they've had a big game since the merger, or most significant since the merger. From the early 70s through 88, the Packers were more often than not non-contenders. From 1990 on, the Bears only had sporadic high-level seasons. This year, the black and blue planets have aligned perfectly. Sunday night, the Texans return to Arrowhead, where they lost twice in less than a month last season. Saturday night in December, Houston kept it within one score, 27-19, kind of. In the divisional round of the playoffs, 23-14 outcome was uncomfortably close for the three-time AFC champions. Now the Texans have won 4 in a row to get to 7-5. Chiefs are 6-6, and they've slipped into run-the-table mode, with the first game coming against arguably the best defense in the league. It all ends on Monday night when the 8-4 Eagles visit the 8-4 Chargers. Philly has sputtered for weeks on offense, and the Chargers have shown a propensity to step into a periodic pothole. If the Cowboys start Week 14 with a win, the Eagles will be at risk of seeing their lead in the NFC East slip to half a game. It will be 8-5 versus 7-5-1. So yes, December is coming in like a lion. Hopefully it will go out like a Tyrannosaurus Rex with 4 weekends of NFL action, setting the stage for one of the craziest final weekends of the regular season we've ever seen to start 2026. So that was fun. Just a little, hey, what's coming up this weekend? All right, so we can cross that one off. We did Spotify Rap. We did enough on Epstein. Cross off big games here. Oh, I said I'm looking past the Bengals, and it's not. I don't have anything against the Bengals. They do have a tendency to start slowly and then ramp it up and start scaring people and be the team who you don't want to face them in the playoffs. Like be that team every year. This year I think they started 2-0, but then once Burrow was out, they weren't the same team. But now Burrow's back, and people really strongly believe in him. I remember the game he played. I loved him at LSU for 1 year. And I loved him. It might not have been his first game, but it was kind of his coming out party. It was a Browns-Bengals game. I remember watching it on the projector in my backyard. So it was early season, him as a rookie. And we're going, there's a guy you're going to have to contend with. Same way that we looked at Drake May last year. The same way that you look at Jaden Daniels maybe, or C.J. Stroud. You're like, all right, there's one. There's something. But really since then, and I know they made a push to the Super Bowl, and I know they beat the Bills in the Damar Hamlin year in the playoffs. But Burrow's one of these guys that I get that he's good. But in a world where I watch Josh Allen every week, and we've watched Mahomes, and we've seen Manning, and we've seen Brady, and we've seen Steve Young, we've seen John Elway. I'm missing something there, and I'm probably wrong. It seems the consensus is that this guy is uber elite. I've mostly heard he's great. I've mostly heard the Bengals are scary. And I know they're the only team other than the Chiefs to knock the Bills out of the playoffs in the last 5 years. I know that was a bad game. But it reminds me of, Sebastian Maniscalco, the comedian. Everyone tells me he's great. Every time I've watched him, I'm like, nah. Or that show Impractical Jokers. It's hilarious. And I've seen it a bunch. And it's not hilarious. It's fine. I get why it's acceptable television. It's candid camera. I get it. I don't want to watch it. It's not the best thing. Somebody thinks that's the best thing on TV. It's probably the same person whose favorite song is Love in an Elevator by Aerosmith. What are you doing? There's other options. Get out there and see the world. And the arguments in favor of Burrow being in that super elite, I'm not saying he doesn't get there. I'm not saying I haven't seen some of it. It just has never quite took for me. I don't know. And the other examples I wrote down, I don't, I was going to say Jim Gaffigan. He's a comedian who seems like he'd be a nice guy and one of your funny friends. Oh, he's so silly. But to pay money to see a show, I don't get it. So I'm putting Jim Gaffigan and Joe Burrow in the same category. Coldplay, Stranger Things. I'm going to try it, Jeremy. I'm going to try it. John, I'm going to try it. Taylor Swift, even to a certain extent. I get that she's more good-looking than bad-looking, but she's not, gorgeous. I get that her songs are more good than bad. They're not great. I understand people like her, but I don't know. So I'm putting Joe Burrow and the Bengals in a category with Sebastian Maniscalco, Jim Gaffigan, Coldplay, Stranger Things, Impractical Jokers, and Taylor Swift. That's off the top of my head. Earlier, it's off this sheet of paper, but it's off the top of my head, either last night or earlier this morning. How much time do we have? I got to get out of here in 5 minutes or so. Do I want to keep going through this? Oh, the raccoon in the liquor store. Show you those. All right. Do I have that story, though? I've got the pictures. Where was it? Where is it? Not there. Not there. It was on Facebook. It was a CBS News story on Facebook. I don't have Facebook open. I'll just tell you the story. It's a CBS News story, and it talks about in probably Florida, because that's where everything happens, that there was a break-in at a liquor store, and the criminal destroyed the place, taking out all sorts of whiskey and bourbon, but bottom shelf liquor. Now, they said bottom shelf. That implies like the generic no-name stuff you would get if you go out to a bar and you're like, I'll take a whiskey and Coke. And you're like, what kind of whiskey? Like, I don't care. That's almost always my answer. I don't care. I don't drink whiskey, but if I did, I don't care. So they said the bottom shelf liquor was taken out, and the immediate thought is like, why would you break into a liquor store and take the bottom shelf liquor when you could take the top shelf liquor? You know, get that Johnny Walker Blue. Get that Belvedere. Is that still a thing? Belvedere vodka. Get that. You don't want Mr. Boston. Pop off. Get the good stuff. But it turns out that it was low bottom shelf liquor because it was low to the ground because it was a raccoon. A raccoon fell through a ceiling tile into a liquor store, then went crazy. Bunch of bottles smashed. The photo, it looks like somebody came in and they broke in and busted up the place. But the reality is it was a raccoon that fell through an acoustic ceiling tile, landed, and then didn't know what was going on, was running around and knocking things over, and apparently consumed a bunch of the alcohol. And I don't know if it's doing okay or not, but the two photos, one is just broken glass and stuff spilled all over the aisle of a liquor store. The other photo is a raccoon asleep next to a toilet. Glad he found the bathroom. Or she. Could have been a female robber, but I find most liquor store robberies performed by animals tend to be men, males. It's probably a male raccoon, I would think. So this raccoon got messed up. And so did the liquor store. But everything's fine. The doors were intact. And it just got trapped in there. So, the liquor store owner came in to find a drunk raccoon asleep on the floor. We had a raccoon. Oh, my God, that's right. We had a raccoon in our apartment. I forgot about that. So, senior year at Geneseo, we lived in this apartment. If you're familiar with Main Street, Geneseo, or really Main Street, any small town in any part of Western New York, upstate New York, capital region, whatever. Every town has the same vibe of like one stretch of Main Street where there's a diner and always a Chinese restaurant somehow, and there's a bank, there's a post office, there's a pizza place, and it's just like one strip, one little, they all just look the same. If you drive through New York State, you'll see it everywhere. We had an apartment above. We had two apartments, really. Above, it was a store. At one point, it was a Subway, but like that size store. And then there's a front apartment and a back apartment. And you would walk in, like instead of going in the door to Subway, you would go the next door to the left, and that led you up the stairs. And if you went up the stairs, there's a door on the right. That was the apartment where 3 guys lived. Then the next door on the right was an apartment where 2 guys lived, one of whom was me. And then if you went down the back stairs, you got to the parking lot behind the plaza, let's say, and that's where the dumpster was. So it was regular indoor stairs to get up to the first apartment. The back was like fire evacuation type of metal graded stairs, and then a dumpster. And we got home once, presumably, I don't know, probably a bar, but, it could have been class. Nah, it was night. It was nighttime. Got home from a bar, and it was a small apartment. Mark and I, my buddy Mark, shared that one, and then Pat and Jimmy and Eric shared the front one. So 5 of us basically lived together, but we had 2 apartments that we shared. We got home, and I want to say I was in the front apartment when Mark, he's a big, super scary man to people who don't know him. He was at the time. He's a rugby player, kind of a monster, dude you wanted on your side. He came in screaming like a little girl because not only had a raccoon gotten up the stairs, but our door didn't always latch, so it had blown open or something, and there was just a raccoon in the kitchen. I totally forgot about this until just now. When he walked in, I don't remember. I think we just left it alone while shuttering in the front apartment, like a shelter in place type of thing, waiting for it to go. And I don't remember how we determined that it was definitely gone. I want to say there might have been a golf club involved, but just for shooing, not for beating of a raccoon. But this happened. And it totally slipped my mind until seeing the picture of the drunk raccoon on the floor of the liquor store into which it broke in, I think, Florida. I don't have the story in front of me. I have to leave. I got to go. The show's over. I'm sorry. I've got more stuff. I'll leave this. I also have phones, tech news, and then not worth trying to keep up with the news cycle were the two other things. Oh, it's the death of Steve Cropper, the guitarist you would know from a zillion songs he wrote and also from his performance in the Blues Brothers. R.I.P. him. We should do little R.I.Ps at the end of every show. Also, the Bills signed Darius Slay to help them out at the cornerback position after he was released a couple days ago. And Deion Dawkins is once again the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee from the Bills. I touched on everything. I didn't get to the World Cup draw, which is taking place on Friday. We'll do that tomorrow because Scott will be on, and Scott's got tickets for one of the World Cup games, so he's really into the draw, figuring out what team he's going to wind up seeing in, I think, Philadelphia. So once the groups are determined, and they're not totally determined because there are still some kind of play-in games that are happening, but many of the teams will be determined. The draw is happening, so we'll touch on that tomorrow. Not that I do a ton on World Cup soccer, but it's a big event. It's coming to the United States, and my friend and regular guest, Scott Wilson, has tickets. So we'll touch on that. We're going to wrap things up. No song to end it or anything. I'm just hitting the outro and shutting it down because I got to go again. But thank you for being a part of it. Thanks for tuning in, watching, listening, sharing, commenting, subscribing, liking, all those things. All right. Thank you. We'll be back with episode 220 tomorrow on Red Radio. I keep doing that. I keep having this thing down, and I hit the button. It's supposed to end. It doesn't end. Here we go.
What are you doing for lunch?
I don't know. I have a turkey sandwich.
We're gonna go around the corner. I think you should come with us. This is a great place.
I don't know. Okay.
We brought you a shirt.
Will you get out of here? Will you get out of here? Will you? Now, will you go to lunch? Go to lunch. Will you go to lunch?